Welcome to Glove Talk, a Mound visit with the Beedes. We'll be visiting with some of the best baseball minds to hear insights into all things baseball, from players and coaches to fans of the game and everyone in between. These are their stories and more on their Mound visit with the Beedes. This podcast is sponsored by Vitamin 1. Vitamin 1 is a delicious non-sugar drink loaded with the B vitamins and electrolytes. It has natural flavor and no artificial coloring. Hydrate your health with Vitamin 1. This podcast is sponsored by Lumberland Bat Mugs. Lumberland baseball bat mugs are made out of a hollowed barrel of the bat that holds 12 ounces of hot or cold beverages. They are the perfect gift for any player, coach, parent, or diehard fan. Drink straight from the barrel all year long with the Lumberland Bat Mug. Go to lumberland.com, that's LUMBERLEND.com, and design your own bat mug today. Lumberland, the home of the original bat mug. Welcome back to Glove Talk. Kyle Beede here with my brother Tyler, Dad Walter, and we're hosting the Glove Talk Mound Visit with the Beedes podcast. Tyler, this was kind of your idea to bring us all together. So I ask you, what made you want to do a podcast in the middle of this baseball shutdown per se? And what have you been up to during that?
Yeah, I think what was important is to get us all back together. I think we always enjoyed talking baseball, just the three of us. It's been a central theme of our lives, obviously stemming from Pops, being around you as you coached college baseball. And then Kyle and you and I being able to play together in high school. And so obviously from a young age, we loved the game and now we just enjoy talking about it. And essentially during a time like this, we know that people maybe just want to hear some insights into the game of baseball that certainly aren't in the news today. And so that for us gives us the ability to, tap into some of the resources and connections that we have around the game, whether it's players, whether it's coaches, whether it's, physical therapists, whether it's strength and conditioning coaches like Eric Cressy. I think we just have the ability to bring some knowledge and to bring some information to people around the baseball community that will allow them to either develop as a player, to seek a career that they didn't know that they wanted to pursue, whether it's in strength and conditioning, maybe it's in nutrition, maybe it's as a coach transitioning from a player to a coach. And so I know that's something Walt can talk about because he did play and then he became a very successful coach. And now he has the ability and resources to help connect players that are dreaming of playing college baseball or pro baseball and help them connect with college programs and get them to the next level. So, Walt, I think I wanted to transition to you because you have obviously the most knowledge in this room on this podcast right now for baseball, and maybe just share your background. Obviously you played, but tell me about, your career early on in coaching or the way that you sort of developed knowledge of the game for where you're at today.
Well, I think Kyle might have been probably somewhere around, say, between 6 and 10. I think I was 38, 37 when I stopped playing. And during that time, both of you were just about to begin your Little League careers. And the first coaching position that I took was with Paul Fenton at Auburn High School, and was an assistant varsity coach with him for many years. Prior to that, I had been a freshman coach, JV coach, and then a varsity coach with Paul, which led me to American Legion, the Auburn Post, and it kicked off, probably in year 2000, somewhere around there. And then ultimately that led me to Becker College. So as a baseball player, you kind of fight that when that day that comes inevitably for all of us where you stop playing and you still have that competitive edge. And I certainly had that when I was coaching. And Becker College at the time gave me the opportunity to be that head coach at the college level. So I really believe that is part of being a player and learning how to disseminate not only your your thought processes to practices and routines and drills and things that may or may not have been successful for you. But really, I took from playing how to make sure that players were having fun and an understanding of competing. That was really the big thing as I transitioned from being a player to a coach. So I agree with you with regard to the podcast. I think it's a great opportunity for not only parents, coaches, student athletes to get what I think is a really fresh insight from a father-son perspective, a player's perspective. Both of you were able to play at the collegiate level. I never had that opportunity, which is why I was so adamant about both of you having that experience, both from an athletic standpoint as well as an academic social standpoint. So really what I hope to kind of bring as far as some insight is being drafted out of high school. I was a lonely 13th round draft pick, learned the business of baseball rather quickly and abruptly as an 18-year-old, and took that into not only my extended playing career on the amateur level through the age of 37. And I might add, it was extremely competitive. I mean, most of the guys that we, played against, some ended up playing professional baseball for a lengthy period of time, the AA and AAA levels, but they were mostly college players. So, and that's that's where I want to go with this.
Yeah, no, this is going to be fun. And Kyle, I wanted to mention, obviously our connection, being able to throw to you my freshman and sophomore year of high school. You're probably one of the most connected catchers I ever threw to, in terms of you always knew what I wanted to throw. Even when I wanted to throw something else, whenever you put it down, I felt like that was a pitch that I needed to throw. And so obviously this being, the Mound Visit podcast, it's glove talk where, you envision when you came out before innings or even during an inning, we would, cover our mouths with our gloves and we would talk, and it would always be about how we're going to attack the hitter, and maybe even something lighthearted that you would say to get me back in the moment and make me laugh and take things less serious. So as you think about, a mound visit and you think about the importance of it, especially during a game, can you touch on maybe the importance of what we can share to people today that may, bring them a little bit more insight and information into how they can, maybe further along their careers, or, think of the importance of the inner circle of people that allow them to get to where they're at today?
Sure. I mean, as a catcher, my track record goes pretty much into my freshman year of college due to some knee injuries. But I think the one thing that when I tried to transfer to being a pitcher, I tried to keep the same things I would do as a catcher in my everyday life. One was never be too serious. I think it's very easy to get into the seventh inning of a game and forget, that we're still one, playing a game, two, in high school, that's the final inning. But in college, you still got two more innings to go. So as a catcher, I would always try to come out there, crack a joke, try to make something funny. Wasn't always successful, but I still think that, at least with me and you, I was able to take your mind off, who we were facing next, or if they had gotten a double off of you before. Come out, crack a joke. Okay, we're having fun. Let's go back. I think the catcher, there's a lot of things you look at. You look at where the guy is in the box. Is he back in the box? Is he up on the plate? Is he up? Is he deep? So, you try to look at, if he's up, I'm going to come with something maybe a little off speed so he doesn't get on top of that fastball out in front of the plate. I just think there's a lot of things that you have to remember during a game, which gets caught up. Are we having fun? Are guys where they need to be? Is there too much pressure? Is there too much adrenaline going? Can I look out and can I see you working quicker on the mound? Okay, call time. Let's reset. I think catching is a lost art form. I think that not too many kids know how to track a pitch and to present it without moving the glove, catching something deep and not letting the umpire see that you've framed it, quote unquote. So, I mean, maybe I can touch on that. Maybe there's some things that I'm wrong on, and there's some things that someone else can explain better. But that's the big thing that I love, having with one. Dad taught me how to catch. He saw me catching a wiffle ball game, and I was dropping down on 2 knees. I was tagging guys out before they could drop third strike. And so Walt really taught me a lot of things about catching and the art form of it. But there are things, guys like Jason Veritek that I grew up and I watched intently. I mean, I think while we get through this podcast, there are things we learn and things, we talk to people who have different perspectives. But I think that, baseball, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. We all, coach the same thing or teach the same thing, and it might be different than the other. But I think the one thing to not lose focus on is the way we explain something may be different, but if the root of the explanation brings you to the same outcome, I think there can never be too many voices heard in the game. It's when people start teaching things that are detrimental to the game that I think we need to have podcasts and people who can right that wrong or maybe clarify it easier so more people understand it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think the big thing to take away is you guys never had lessons per se until you were probably over 13. And so, in today's world of youth baseball, I think we rush many young guys, young children into lessons in a cage, we don't learn in a cage. We learn the game organically outside. I mean, you guys had in the backyard a mound, you played lots of wiffle ball. You played games with the neighbors. You played when we went to the playground. We played catch. I think simplicity needs to come back to the game at the younger levels. I hope that's kind of what we are able to share, the three of us, father, son, just going out in the back. Hey, Dad, can we play catch? Hey, Dad, can I pitch? Create fictional situations, counts, those types of things. Okay, it's 2 balls, 2 strikes, and, bases are loaded, and just keeping the game fun, loose.
Loose. Absolutely. I think obviously what Kyle and I know about the game of baseball in majority is because of what we've learned from you, Pops. And so this is what we hope to share is obviously we may be reiterating some of the things that you've taught us. But, I've always thought of Kyle as, I obviously been fortunate to play at the highest level, throw to Buster Posey, Stephen Vogt, guys who are obviously able to compete and play at the highest level. And I've always thought of Kyle, even to this day, as a catcher who had the ability to make it to the highest level. And obviously, unfortunately, for some injuries and just some circumstances that just weren't, perfect for him to flourish and be his best. This podcast is about being honest and transparent about not only our careers, both me as a pitcher, Kyle as a catcher and a pitcher, for a short period of time. And then Dad, you as a player, as a coach, as a baseball process consulting, family friend, someone who's always got the right resources and the wealth of baseball knowledge. I think that's what we want to put on display is what we know. And like Kyle said, what we say isn't, what everybody else may say. And there's maybe things that, aren't, rock solid. They aren't the full, this is how you need to do it, but this is how that our family, the Beedes, have done things right in a baseball way. And there's proven success in the fact that my dad has been able to, help kids get into college, help kids get into pro ball because of the resources and connections that he has. And because he just cares about kids' careers, that he would take time out of his own day, weeks, months, years, in order for a kid to see his dream come true to maybe just play D1 baseball or D2 baseball or just continue to play baseball in general. And so, that's been true in our own family. Whether we're still playing or not, we still love the game of baseball. And so that's what we want to share. Obviously I think my dad, Pops, I think you have, the ability to coach and get to a player, no matter what the circumstances are, better than any other pitching coach, any other coach that I've come across, even in pro baseball. And I compare you to like a Ron Wotus, who is our third baseball coach, who just has like this lighthearted way of connecting with players. And Ron's obviously a third baseball coach, but he has a wealth of knowledge from the way that players should be shifted, to the way a pitcher should be handling bunts, to the way he should be handling the way that he stands in the box and things of that nature. And so, you have knowledge from not only hitting, not only pitching, but the coaching front as well. So I think it'll be cool just to hear those insights.
I think it'll be fun to hear from some of the guys that we worked with over the last, say, 10 years, all the way from Lawrence Academy all the way down in New Orleans and Texas and Florida and, throughout New England. And I think it would be great to have them kind of share some of their stories. A lot of people get hung up in the youth levels. And I tell parents all the time, I never made an all-star team until I was 15 years old. I never hit a home run over a fence until I was 15 years old. But yet 3 years later, I was drafted. So it's not where you are today, it's where you want to go tomorrow. So I think what we are all able to share is, really candid insight as to not only success, but failures that may have ignited us, going forward. And, whether it was just simply getting to college, in Kyle's case, and then obviously obtaining and graduating and getting a degree. But, you play Major League Baseball. I was able to be a college head coach, but there was a lot of ups and downs along the way. And our focus is going to be on the journey throughout the sport of baseball and not so much the destination.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's where we learn everything that we've learned is from the journey, right? So, yeah, no, this is cool. Kyle, did you have any other things that you wanted to bring up in terms of what this podcast may be?
Well, I mean, I think what's really cool about this is it's 3 total different journeys, right? Mine ended a little earlier. Yours is still going. Walt's ended in was it A-ball? So I think we have the minor leaguer, we have the professional, and we have the guy who didn't quite get there. And each story is very different in its sense. So, I mean, there are things like you said, there are circumstances that I know I didn't do personally that could have gotten me to a different step. And I think it's great to be honest about those things, because there are guys who have all the talent in the world who, want to go down road A, and that road doesn't necessarily end to where that dream is. But, that's the road of journey. It takes you to where you are. And then 8 years down the road, maybe you're on a podcast. I think that, all these stories are true. I think all of them have, some sort of deeper meaning to them. And I think that, whether we have guests on or whether it's just us 3, I think that something can be found, at least in however long our episodes are. Something useful can be learned in each episode to somebody different, whether that's the parent, whether that's the coach, whether that's the player. I think that, if you're with us and you're listening, you will learn something. Hopefully we make you laugh. Hopefully, this is something that you will hear and will be engaged with, because we want to hear from people, and we want to hear, whether you agree, whether you disagree. But if you disagree, we want to know why. So maybe we can explain something clear. Maybe we can go over something a little more in depth, or maybe our guests can reflect that question as well.
It's awesome.
I think the other thing we should highly encourage via social media platforms, let's get some questions to try and come in on a weekly basis. And, we can ask not only ourselves and answer the questions ourselves, but, each week we're going to have a guest on, and we can run some of those questions by a few of the guests. I mean, our guests are going to run the gamut from players at the youth level currently, as far as what they are doing within the game with regard to high school travel baseball, et cetera. And then you're going to have college coaches, minor league coaches, major league coaches, players, agents, professional, player agents, broadcasters, strength and conditioning, nutrition, coaches, counselors. So it'll run the gamut. So, send the questions in. Let us know what you want to hear us discuss. We've literally covered in our lifetime as players, and mine as coaching, as well as Kyle's. We've pretty much been to every level of baseball at this point, family. So, let us help kind of navigate your path send us some questions.
Yeah, we know how vital each of those people play in a baseball player's career, especially from my perspective. It's like I wouldn't be the player I am today, obviously, without, my dad's influence and my brother's influence of me when I was a younger player. But a guy like Eric Cressy, who if I hadn't been with him as a developing youth baseball player from the ages of 14 to, even till now, I'm still training with him. I wouldn't be the player and person I am today, especially with an agent or a financial advisor who not only a financial advisor who helps me on that front to not have to worry about my financial situation and can help me control that, but who's become a best friend of mine who we met on a airplane ride to Tournament of Stars. And so hearing those sorts of stories from not only our perspective, but from their perspective as well, and how they play a vital role in baseball players' careers and how they can play a role in your career as well. And so that's obviously something that we want to bring value to you guys for as well. So I think just knowing that it takes a strong inner circle, and that's why I'm the player I am today is because of my dad and because of my brother. And my dad and my brother are who they are today because of each of us. And so it's a team effort. We understand that baseball players, there's a spotlight on them, and they, handle the successes and maybe the spotlight's on them for that. And then when they have adversity and failure, everybody looks to them as well. But there's a community and a group of people who support them. And man, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have been playing this game as long if it wasn't for, my dad and my brother. So we know that all other players, coaches, and people within the game will echo the same sentiments and understanding the value of the people around them. And so thank you guys for listening to our inaugural podcast. We look forward to spending many more times visiting with you guys and for you visiting with us, and look forward to having fun conversations along the way and you guys getting a lot out of this and understanding the importance of baseball to us and to you guys as well.